Hello friends, my name is Alberto. Today I'll be doing my movie review of 1991 film City Slickers. It's directed by Ron Underwood, starring Billy Crystal as Mitch Robinson, Daniel Stern as Phil Berquist, and Bruno Kirby as Ed Ferrello. Now let's begin, shall we? We're in Pamplona, Spain, and that's where there's going to be the running of the bulls. And Mitch, the main star, is played by Billy Crystal, and he's gonna be with his friends, Ed and Phil. Now they're gonna do the running of the bulls, and like I said, in Pamplona, Spain, they're at the gate. They're with the other men. They're gonna run. There's a lot of men, a lot of bulls involved, and it's gonna start off with they're gonna shoot fireworks, and the men are gonna run down the street first, and then the bulls are gonna be right after them. So all three of them, Mitch, Phil, and Ed, they're running down the street. They're running with these men, these participants in this bull running in Spain, and the bulls are right on them. They're right behind them. There they go, run, 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 and we got Phil. He's getting scared of getting hit by a bull, and he jumps on a flagpole. Um, so now it's Ed and Mitch left. Run, 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 and we got Ed. He thinks he's gonna get hit by a bull, and he jumps into a crowd. Like, whoa! He's like, "Go, Mitch! Mitch is by himself. Run, 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 run!" And as soon as you know it, there's a bull that hits him right in the keister, and the bull, yeah, hit him with his head, and he goes flying in the air. And then we got the credits going, and here we go. We're in the doctor's office, and his friends are with him. Ed and Mitch. I'm sorry, Ed and Phil. The doctor's in there, like I said, in the doctor's office. Doctor's working on Mitch's butt. Mitch is complaining, saying they do what every stupid thing Ed says. Ed's the adventurous one. Phil's taking pictures. Ed's like, let the man keep his dignity. And Mitch makes a funny comment. He tells the doctor, "Hey, el señor, don't sew anything that needs to be open." So I'm thinking when the bull hit Mitch in the butt, he he probably cut him with a horn. So now they have to stitch up Mitch's butt. Phil wants to take a group picture. There's a timer on the camera to take a picture. And it's funny because Mitch has like a 10 over his butt with a, kind of privacy deal. They take a group picture, and then the doctor sticks his head out. And it's funny because the doctor's like buck too, so he looks real cute. So we're out of there. Now we're on the plane. And it seems that these guys, all three of these guys, have their wives and girlfriend. I think because Mitch is gonna have Barbara, Phil's gonna have Arlene. They're both those couples are married, and we got Ed. I think he at this time he's his boyfriend and girlfriend with Kim. So I'm pretty sure these girls went shopping in Spain or whatever. Um, Here, Mitch is bringing up to Ed that oh, before even that is a funny part is like Kim's walking to her seat, Ed's girlfriend. He's like, "Mr. Bull," ha ha ha. It's just lame, but it's kind of lame, funny, it's cute. But Mitch starts talking to Ed. Once again, Mitch is complaining, saying they do every stupid thing that Ed wants to do, because Ed, again, once again, Ed is the adventurous one. Ed is trying to talk Mitch into parachute jumping next, and it's a smaller parachute, and it's target parachuting. They're gonna land a target, and Mitch is like, "I'm gonna end up in a cigarette box, or we all could end up in a cigarette box, or something like that. That they're gonna die." Um, Ed's like, "Phil, go," and then Mitch is like, "If you were married to that, you'd want to die too," referring to Arlene, Phil's wife, which she's always a dragon. She's rude and nasty. And Mitch is like, "Ed, when's it gonna be enough?" And then Ed's like, "I'm reading. When is it gonna be enough?" Mitch says again. Now it says a year later, and now we're in the apartment of Mitch and Barbara. So now we're actually in their room, and they're in their bedroom, and they're asleep. Phil's mom calls in the answering machine, but he picks up. She starts saying a happy birthday and a long story when Mitch was born. Um, she says that Mitch is now 39 years old. Now, before I forget, I'm gonna say this, that I think could be a nice even number. They made it 40, but they say he's 39. I think for the film it'd be appropriate. They said 40, but okay, whatever. It's 39. So she says he's 39 years old. Barbara's listening there, and they say bye to Mitch's mom. Mitch is complaining about his age. Barbara's getting annoyed, because Mitch does things like checking his hair if he's balding or whatever. He's complaining about his age. He's getting older and feels like an old man and stuff like that. Um, Barbara's had enough. And she tells Mitch, canceling your birthday party. Like, no, I want to see my friends. She's like, all right, but you better behave yourself. And he's like, okay. Next scene, we have Mitch is going to work. He's under these skyscraping. I don't even know what they're called, but they have them when people go snowboarding. They have like like a cab going on a wire or something. I guess they have those in New York, where Mitch lives. Excuse me. And he's going in one of those, and he's in the window. He looks all depressed, and he's going depressed to work. He's always depressed. He's at work now. He has some scissors. Look like these. They just happen to be there. I'm serious. I didn't know they were there. He's in his office going like this, clipping trying to, whatever, like his ear hair is going to go that long. And if it's that long, you really have problems. And then his boss sees him at the window. He's like, hi. Put those back. Um, and Mitch tells his boss, his boss wants to talk to him. He's like, I can't stay long because my son Danny has a career day at his school. Boss says it's not gonna take long. Plays a tape. Because before we get to tape, Mitch's job, he works for a radio, and he decides what he buys commercials to sell on the air at the radio station. And playing some dumb pizza guy song, whatever. Um, Mitch's boss says it's annoying, it's stupid. Mitch says, "Well, I didn't make it." Well, his boss is like, "You bought it in airtime, and people are having accidents hearing that song." Mitch's boss is like, "We used to make fun of guys that bought this kind of crap." It's like, "What's going on with you?" Mitch is like, "Have you ever felt like this is the best you're ever gonna do, the best you're ever gonna be?" And then it's like the boss knows exactly what he's talking about. He's like, "Happy birthday." And the boss was like, "I'm responsible for the quality of work that goes around here." And he tells Mitch, "From now on, I gotta approve all your dealings." And like Mitch is like, "Really? You have to approve all my dealings?" He's like, taps him in the back. Just until you get back on your feet. His boss says. Mitch is now gonna go to Danny's school, and there's our they're in the class with Danny there. The whole class, all the students are there, teachers there, and there's a construction worker, fat man, showing his butt from his. I don't want to confuse it, but it's like one of those guys that can't put their pants on properly. And they show his butt cheeks. Um, and he's talking about his job. Construction worker is telling. He's obviously one of the parents of one of those kids. He's saying a story about a lady from Bloomingdale's has the big glasses, bags, and he says that in the story, he says that she's walking where she's gonna be walking, and a crane falls in her, like falls on top of her legs, and they need some guys to take her out, and he had superhuman strength and picked it up. Hard to believe that a man could do that, but oh well, we'll go with what he says, I guess. And he says he was like the hero, and the doctors were able to save her legs because he took her out from under the that he lifted up the crane so other people could take her out. I guess it was. And he tells him, "And don't do drugs." And he's like, "That's it." Tell him the story. Yay. Then the teacher says, "Danny, would you like to introduce your dad?" And Danny goes, "My dad's name is Mitch, and he's a submarine commander." And then Mitch is like, "Danny." So Danny's lying about Mitch's job because he's ashamed of his dad. And then Mitch says he works for BMW Radio or something like that, name of the radio station. Everybody there, and somebody goes like, "Oh," like they're disappointed. A little girl goes, "Are you a disc jockey?" And she asks Mitch. He's like, "No, I'm not a disc jockey." And he explains his job that he sells airtime to commercials, or he buys the commercials, or and teachers like, you decide who what commercials go on and which ones don't. He's like, "Yeah, oh no, not until my boss took my authority." He's like, "As soon as I finally took away my authority, I should have quit." And he stops for a while, and teacher's like, "Mr. Robinson," and he just goes into a sob story talking about in the lines of telling the kids, "You got choices now," and like when you're in your 30s, you're like, "What happened to my 20s?" And then the 30s go by fast, and 40s, and you you get depressed, and you get older, you start getting more sadder, and then when you get all the way, see, goes to the 60s, 80s, whatever, and he has a by the time you're 80 or something, you have a massive stroke, and you have a Jamaican mom that takes Jamaican provider takes care of you. You call mama, whatever. He just starts being so depressed, and he depresses the class, and everybody's looking at him like, when he especially embarrasses Danny. So that happened. Now we're back at Mitch's apartment. Mitch is telling Barbara, his wife, that Danny was ashamed of telling him, ashamed of his job. You know, the whole lying, saying they was a submarine commander. And Barbara's like, don't worry about it. Mitch has a daughter named Holly. Um, they're setting up for Mitch's party. His daughter, his daughter, his daughter Holly says she don't want to be hanging out with the friends. Um, that she's gonna go spend time at her friend's house. And Mitch is like, again? Are you paying rent there? She's like, Dad. And then Barbara says, we'll have a family party tomorrow. Holly hugs Barbara and then hugs Mitch. She leaves. Now it's time of the party. All of Mitch's friends are there. It shows Danny showing off to the guest, the adult guest. He's making, he spreads his mouth, and he's popping his shoulder, and he tells Danny to go to bed. Not like that matters, but just like I'm not, I don't forget that part on why because it's just too silly. Everybody's there, and Phil, or even Arlene's there, Kim's there. Um, and we got Phil, wife Arlene already wants to leave, and she says, "Phil, we're leaving." And then Phil says, he hasn't opened his birthday presents or his cake, or he didn't take the cake. And Arlene says, "Come on, Phil, you have to be open the store at 4:30. Daddy's counting on you." And that's when Phil says, 15 more minutes. She's like, okay, and she leaves. She does a fake smile at Mitch, like she don't like him. And then it's just like 4:30, and Phil works for a grocery store, and Phil goes, "That's when the food arrives." Um, and yeah, so Phil has a very responsible job. Ed joins him, and Phil's like, "I got 15 minutes. Can we give Mitch his gift now?" Ed's like, "Yeah." And then Ed says it's 2 weeks. Um, they're gonna be under the stars. It's a cattle drive, like Cowboys. Remember Mitch the Kid? That they're gonna move the cattle from New Mexico, a ranch in New Mexico to a ranch in Colorado. And they show Mitch the brochure. Feels like, show him the brochure. Yeah, shows him the brochure, and Mitch is like, sounds good, looks good. But then Mitch goes, I can't go. I'm going to Florida with Barbara to meet um, Barbara's parents. And then I like this part. Ed goes, what, you sick? Like in a bad way. And he's like, no, I said I was going to go. I promised. I promised her. And then Phil's like, what's with you these days? And then that doorbell rings. And Mitch is like, I'm going to go see what it is. But Barbara beats him the door. And then Barbara opens the door and some girl comes in. And she goes, is Phil Berquist here? And yeah, the girl's name is Nancy, the girl, a young girl. And Nancy, she has an apron on, so it looks like she works somewhere, probably a grocery store, and she does. Um, she sees Phil. She goes, Mr. Berkowitz, I don't know what to do. And Phil's like, Nancy, who's on register 17 or something like that. And she's like, I don't know what to do. I'm late. And she tells Phil, I missed my period. And then she goes, I took one of those home pregnancy tests. And he's the one he says, the ones that now send in special, something like that. And she goes, yeah, I took the home pregnancy test and it came out blue. And then Phil's wife is seeing the whole thing. Phil's wife, Arlene. And she asked Phil, so why is she telling you all this, Phil? And then Phil looks at his wife and says, because we have a health plan. And then Arlene says, you're screwing this little girl in my father's store. By the way, Arlene's dad owns a grocery store. So she goes, so you're screwing this little girl at my father's store? And then Nancy goes, it was not in the store. It was in his car. And Phil goes, oh, jeez. And then Nancy goes, I'm not a little girl. I'm 20. And then Arlene goes, get out of you, you little. He says a bad word. Call her a bad word. And then Phil tells Arlene, hey, I will not permit you to talk to her that way. And then, Arlene says, well, I'm telling my father on you. And then Phil's, no, don't tell Mr. Levine. Arlene has a phone there. Mitch's phone. They're fighting over the phone. And Phil takes the phone away. And Arlene says, I'll call from the bedroom. No, because also Arlene said that it was crazy. Like, it was crazy. They were fighting over the phone. And then Phil goes, crazy? Not having sex for 12 years, that'll make you crazy. And then that's when Arlene says, I'll go to the call from the bedroom. So that's when Phil goes to the bedroom. How the hell would you know where the bedroom is? Referring to she hasn't given him sex for 12 years. And she goes, Arlene goes to the bedroom. You hear her. She goes, I'm calling. And Phil goes, that's okay. He's probably in a meeting with the other escaped Nazis. And then she says, I hate you. And then Phil goes, I hate you more. If hate were people, I'd be China. And then that's when Mitch sarcastically says, let's bring out the cake. It's the end of the party, and Mitch and Barbara they're cleaning up. Barbara tells Mitch, I know how men think. I'm not happy here. I'm not happy here, so I'll be happy here. And she's saying that, what if some checkout girl comes looking for you, Mitch? And then Mitch is like, no, you make me happy here. Barbara's not happy with Mitch right now. Mitch is saying that he just feels lost. And he says, Barbara tells him that Kim was telling her about this cattle drive. She says, like, go find your smile. And Mitch is like, what if I can't? And she's like, we'll jump off the bridge once we come to it. And she said to go with Ed, take Phil. She says, Barbara tells me, my birthday present to you is I give you these 2 weeks to go find your smile at the cattle ranch. So she's going to let him go. So now we're at the New Mexico cattle ranch. and they're all there, Mitch, Ed, and Phil, and they're waiting for the other guests. Um, First arrives um, an old um, Ben and Steve Jessup, and Ben says they're dentists, and it's a father and son dual dentist. Ben's the dad, and Steve is the younger, is the son. Steve says, "Yes, we're black and we're dentists. Don't make an issue." And then his dad's like, "Nobody's making an issue. You're making an issue." And then arrives Barry and Ira Shalowitz. Uh, they're saying that they own the ice cream company. And then arrives Bonnie Rayburn. Bonnie tells the group, um, "My friend said they're not gonna make it, and I'm thinking of leaving." Everybody's like, "No, no." She's a she's an attractive white girl, so they don't want her to go. She'd be the only female there. Clay Stone arrives. Clay Stone is an older man. He's the owner of that cattle ranch, and he tells them that they're gonna. This is none of it's fake on that ranch. They're gonna be doing real cowboy work. And I like the line he says. He goes, "You came here as city slickers, but you're gonna go home as cowboys." So that was cool. Next we have they have a store there at the cattle ranch. They're buying their equipment. They're trying on the hats. Um, it's funny because there's a part where oh, I forgot, Clay Stone has Millie. Millie is his wife, and they have Cookie. Cookie's the cook. Um, Cookie does all the cooking there. He'll be going on the the cattle drive. So like I told you, Clay Stone has a wife named Millie. She's old like him. Millie's there at that little store I was talking about. They're buying their equipment. Everybody's trying on their hats. There's a funny part where Ed's chewing tobacco. He's trying to spit in a pail, but it hits a shirt. And Millie's at the cash register. He's at the cash register. And he's like, "Oh, I'll take that shirt." You know, of course he has to take it. He spit on it. He already ruined the shirt. Then they show them training. They're all going horseback riding, all of them, the whole group. Um, and they show it too that Ed, Phil, and Mitch, they're sitting down in their room, and they have ice pack on their private parts because they're sore from all the horseback riding. They're not used to it. Um, then we got that they're training with like fake bulls, but they're like on metal stands, and they're gonna practice roping on the fake bulls so they can learn how to lasso bulls for the cattle drive. You got Barry and Ira. They're working on a bull, but they actually work on each other, or one of them lassos the other one running the way practice of, I guess, a moving target. You got Mitch and Ed, and then they're joined by Phil. They're practicing on their bull, their fake bull. Mitch is struggling on lasso. He's having a hard time. Ed knows how to do it now. Um, Bonnie's by herself with a bull, and this is where it gets interesting because there's two cowboys that work there. Um, Jeff and TR, and these cowboys work there, and they're hitting on Bonnie, and Bonnie's like, "Why don't y'all leave me alone?" One of them's telling him thing that Jeff tells him, "I'm in love." And then Mitch sees that they're harassing Bonnie. He tells Ed, "You see that?" Mitch Mitch goes over there. He tries to go talk to him so he can settle down and leave Bonnie alone. But uh, but Mitch, she jokes around. He tries to calm down the situation, and it hardly ever works. And he says a couple of dumb things, and then I don't know about sashaying or something. I don't know. And at the end, he's like, "Bonnie, you want to come with us? Come rope with us?" And Jeff and TR are like, I think it's Jeff. He goes, "Bonnie's everything's okay here, friend. Bonnie's with us." And then Ed and Phil go for backup just in case something happens. And then Jeff looks at Mitch and says, "You stepped on my foot." And Ed goes, "No, you know he didn't. You horse's ass." And Jeff's like, "We can go now." And then fine. It looks like Jeff is gonna throw a punch, and Ed's gonna throw a punch. And somebody lassos Jeff from the neck, and then brings him back to the fence, hangs him a little bit, and lets him go. And then that somebody says, "Apologize to the lady." And he's like, "No." And then somebody throws a, when Jeff falls, his legs are open, and they throw a knife, and it almost hits Jeff's private. It hits the ground. And then Jeff immediately says, "I'm sorry, I'll never do it again." Mitch is like, "See that it doesn't." And it turns out it's the trail boss, and the trail boss is Curly. And yeah, Mitch tells Curly, "You're doing fine." Cause he's like, see, he's like he's in charge, and Mitch didn't, Mitch didn't help the situation. Curly did. And then Bonnie tells Mitch like that's a very brave thing that he did, and Mitch is like, his face is like likes her, but he stops himself and turns around and goes like, "I'm married," and runs. He doesn't want any, you know, he don't want any hang-ups, or he don't want to give Bonnie the wrong idea. He walks away. Now they're having a barbecue at night. They're dancing and they're eating, and and Bonnie's gonna. She was dancing. I think she was dancing with Barry. She said she's gonna. She said she's going to go to bed, and she's like, "Good night," and then she's like, "Good night," and it's like, "You're flirting." And it's like, "No, I'm not." They're flirting with her, and then the dentists get there. Ben and Steve. They start talking about Curly. Ben says that he heard a story that that Curly had in a knife fight had cut a guy from somewhere to somewhere. uh, Something disgusting from something of nuts. Let's put it that way. Um, Mitch starts telling the group he has crazy eyes. Curly has crazy eyes. And then Curly's behind him. And then Mitch says, "He's behind me, isn't he?" And then Curly says, "Everybody time to bed." Everybody runs like they're scared of him. "Okay, yes, sir." They take off. Mitch turns around and tells Curly, "I didn't mean nothing by it." And then Curly says, I crap more than you." Next morning, it's the day of the cattle drive. They're gonna start the cattle drive. Um, Y'all ready to go? Curly says, "Let's move them out." And Ben, the dentist, says that he, when he was a young boy, saw a Western movie when they were in the movie. They were moving, the cowboys were moving out the cattle, and he goes, they would all say yeehaw. So let's get a yeehaw from everybody. So everybody says yeehaw, yeehaw. They all do it, yeehaw. And like I said, Curly's like, let's move them out. So they go. All of them are working with a herd. They're moving the herd. And they're moving the herd, moving the herd, moving the herd. Then we got our first strays. Mitch, Phil, and Ed are riding horseback together. They're like, there's strays over there. And they're like, who's gonna get the strays? There's like 3 or 4 strays or something. And they say they're gonna send Mitch first, and then they go, they'll do rotation. It'll be Phil, and then it'll be Ed's turn. So Mitch goes after the strays behind a bush. He runs after them. They come back. He goes backwards on the horse doing a Michael Jackson thing, talking like Michael Jackson, being funny. And Phil's like, turn it, turn it, turn it, while Phil's moving the horse back to them. While they're horseback riding, we got Ed starts up with these parables like Jesus with Mitch. I explain right now. Um, well, before even that, I think Ed brings up like he's checking on Bonnie. Like he's telling Mitch, you're looking at Bonnie like you wish her butt was your hat. Some perverted line like that, like he wants her. And and Mitch is like, if it's like a Picasso painting, something like that, he's like, I see it differently. I enjoy the painting, but I don't take it off the wall. He's referring to Bonnie, attractiveness to Bonnie or Bonnie's butt, whatever. And then Ed brings up, okay, Mitch, this parable or story or scenario. What if a lady, alien saucer comes or alien something like that, and it has a beautiful woman, and you can have sex with that beautiful woman, that alien beautiful woman, whatever, and you have sex with her and you never see her again. And Mitch is like, that actually did happen. It happened to my cousin, and he got busted. His wife did find out, and she found out uh, by the women in a beauty parlor. They know everything. I thought that was funny. And then Mitch says, the point is, Ed, if I wouldn't like it because I would know what I did wrong, and I couldn't live with myself. Something within those lines. And then Curly says that we got more strains, and then Mitch is like, you haven't killed anybody yet, and then Curly says, the day's not over yet. They don't show who gets the strays, but that's what he said. But that line was good. Like, the day's not over yet for killing somebody. They're camping out at night. We still have Mitch, Ed, and Phil are camping out. They're in their PJs. Now Ed's still gonna be pressing this thing. Now he's telling Mitch like, how can you be like with one woman? Because he's been married for Barbara for like more than 10 years, something like that. And he's like, how can you be with the same woman? And then Mitch is like, I reached my limit. I'm married. Okay. And then Ed is like, what if how about the Kellogg variety pack? How about if you're eating the same, you have all these, the variety pack is all these cereals, but you're always eating the same one. Wouldn't you want to like try the others? And then Mitch is like, why are you pressing me about this? And then Ed's like, you see, um, Kim wants to have children, and and Mitch is, and then Ed's like, I tell her, Ed's like, I tell her that we won't have as much fun, or probably ruin her body for a modeling career, but that's not the real reason. Ed is saying that having children is a real commitment. Now we have to know that Ed is married to Kim, but he sees not the marriage itself as a commitment, but actually having the children is more of a commitment. I guess it makes sense. And then it feels like I don't understand. And Ed's like, you don't understand, Phil. I don't want to screw around like you. And then feels like, well, don't. And it's like you're the so coming from the king of restraint, and then it feels like, what does that mean? And he talks about the affair that he had with the cashier girl on Arlene. They start fighting, and then I like when Ed goes, "What did you use, Phil? Paper or plastic?" And that's when Phil jumps on Ed. They start excuse me. They start wrestling. If they're gonna fight, they start wrestling around. Mitch tries to stop him, and then that's when Curly he gets a pail of water and he splashes on them and they're all wet. And then Ed says, "We're just fooling around." And then Curly says, "You're scaring the cattle. You all need to be up at you need to go to sleep at sunrise." So now it's sunrise. Phil and Ed are sore. Mitch gets them to be friends again. He goes, "Come on, let's be friends, whatever." Shake hands. Phil and Ed shake hands. Um, then Mitch runs to his tent. He's like, "Let's don't live like animals." He brings a little portable machine. It's a coffee maker, grinder, whatever, to make coffee. Then Mitch says, "The first glass is gonna go to Phil. He let me see his sister dress up." And Phil and Ed are laughing. And then Mitch is like, "She still does. Let me see her dress." So Mitch turns on the little portable coffee maker. It makes a noise. It starts startling the cattle, and then they the cattle get so startled they start a stampede. They start so they're running off. They're taking off. Everybody that's able is gonna chase after them. Barry and Ira can't because one of them's taking a bath or something. They made a bath out of a canteen bringing water or something. Bonnie is not even. She's there, but she's meditating safely on top of a hill, and I think she has like earphones on or something. She's relaxing up there. She can't hear anything. I think Jeff and Tr take off after the cattle. You see Mitch go up a tree. You see, I know Phil goes hides behind some boulders. Um, Ed goes somewhere. Um, and the stampede's ruining all the equipment. It's trampling the tents, all their equipment. I think it makes Cookie in his wagon take off. And then Curly Curly had taken off, and I guess he made it in front of. He rode on horseback, and he made it in front of the cattle. Shoots his gun and stops the stampede. Thank goodness. So they stopped. Curly has stopped the stampede, and the place is a mess. The stampede has trampled down a lot of equipment, the food, all that stuff. Um, I know Barry and Ira give Mitch dirty looks, like, "Oh, I can't believe you did this." Um, Everybody's cleaning up, getting organized, getting their stuff, finding what they can. Curly says there's some stray cattle that went into the canyon. And Jeff says, me and TR will go after him. Like Curly's like, no, I'll go after him. And I'm taking him. He points to Mitch. So Curly's like, you and I are going to go to that canyon and go get those strays. So everybody looks concerned, especially Mitch. He looks scared. Mitch gets on his horse. Um, he gets on his horse and he goes behind Curly to go get the strays at the canyon. And then Phil goes, if he doesn't come back, I'm going after Barbara. So Phil once already has his eyes set on Mitch's wife Barbara. If he don't make it back, they're afraid Curly's gonna go kill him because they know that they feel that Mitch is not in good terms with Curly right now. That's why he thinks he's gonna go kill him over there. So Mitch is with Curly. They they capture one cow or bull, and then they bring the rest. They have four. And they're like, that's it, that's it. Um, Carly tells Mitch they're gonna have to camp out for the night. It's too late to go rejoin the group, so they do. So Curly and Mitch are camping out. Curly's messing around with his knife with some leather thing, like he's sharpening it, or I don't know what. I thought he had sharpened on rock, excuse my ignorance, but he's sharpening it with some leather thing. And Mitch thinks that Curly's doing that to intimidate, and he probably is. Mitch starts playing his harmonica. And Curly's like, put it away, put it away. And Mitch is testing him. Even tells Curly to shut up, he's on vacation. Then Curly takes out his knife and he walks over to Mitch, scaring him. And Mitch is still playing his harmonica with scary eyes. Like he's scared, like, oh, I think this guy's gonna kill me. But no, it turns out good. Turns out Curly's a good sport and starts singing along to some song with Mitch playing a harmonica. And that's how they start getting along. And the song something about tumbleweeds coming down. The next morning, they're getting along and they're riding along, and they're bringing the rest of the strays with them. But Curly spots a cow that's pregnant. Curly says he knows the cow, but he was hoping the cow could make it all the way to Colorado. And Curly's like, I'm gonna hold the cow down, and you put your hands in the cow and take off the calf. And Mitch is like scared. He doesn't want to. He has gloves. He takes them off. And Curry's like, do it now. Do it now. So Mitch puts his hands in the cow. And he's struggling, but eventually Curly says, you got the head? Like, no, I got a butt, tail. It's like, take it out. Oh, it's like, Curly's like, oh no. That's not the way a cow's supposed to come out, but pull it out. And finally, well, Mitch says he loses his watch in there, so that's not good. And the cow. He takes out the the calf's legs and he takes it out. And he's like, oh, okay, cool. And then he says, I'm going to name this calf Norman. So he names the calf Norman, and then Curly comes in to congratulate Mitch. Is like, good job, cowboy. Now they're going to regroup with the others. They've already regrouped with the others. Mitch introduces the calf Norman to the group, to all of them. And Mitch says, like, no, Curly's a nice guy. I'll bring him over. He goes to Curly, and Curly still mounted on his horse. Mitch is like, Curly, Curly, and Curly doesn't respond. And then that's when it dawns on you he's not responding after a while. Curly's died. He's died mounted on his horse. So they bury Curly. They have a little funeral. I think Barry Shalowitz says, is this legal? And then Cookie says, he would like to be buried here. That's the way he'd want it. Jeff tells Cookie, can you say some words for Curly? And he says, God, don't piss Curly off. And I'm like, is that it? And he's like, well, I got chicken cooking. And Mitch jumps in and says some more words at Curly's funeral. So now that we have Curly, the trail boss has died. It's going to be Jeff and TR. They're going to take over since they're the Cowboys with the most experience. Next in line. So Jeff, he says the orders for how they're going to lead the cattle drive. He says, you go here, Bonnie, you go here, Mitch, Ed, etc. They go here to move the cattle drive. Next, we're going to have, they settle down somewhere again. But now we have Cookie. For some reason, he's driving his, the food wagon with supplies, mainly food. He's going to be driving it fast, going in circles, going crazy. And then Jeff and TR are saying, oh, he's drunk. So Cookie is driving the wagon fast, really fast. He don't care because he's drunk. But he's heading towards a cliff. And I think he notices, but it's too late to stop the horses, or he can't stop. It's going too fast. So the wagon goes over the cliff, and with the two horses, and Cookie jumps out in the nick of time. And both horses are gonna die, and all the food's gonna be ruined. So they're not gonna have that much food left because of that. Like I said, Cookie jumped in the nick of time and he broke both his legs. So they end up burying the two horses. They probably gathered what they could, but most of the food is ruined. They're saying that Cookie said he broke both his legs, so he's gonna need immediate medical attention. They're looking for, so Jeff and TR are looking for volunteers. They say there's a nearest town, I don't know, 5 miles away or something. Who's gonna take them? Everybody's looking at each other, and finally, Ben volunteers to take his son, Steve, Ben and Steve Jessup, that they'll take Cookie to the town. And Steve's like, "But Dad, you're having a lot of fun." Ben Jessup says, "Well, we'll still have fun." And it's funny because Ben tells Steve, "We're the ones that have the one with the most medical experience, but they're dentists." And then Steve goes, "What are we gonna do? Give him a cleaning?" Man, Like, no, we can do it. So so Ben ends up going with Ben and Steve Jessup end up taking Cookie. They're gonna take Cookie to the nearest town so they can see a doctor so he can get medical attention. So they go do that. They're gone. So Ben, Steve, and Cookie are gone, and we got Jeff and TR. I think it's TR that finds. He goes, "Hey, I found Cookie's stash." He finds all like it. They found Cookie's stash of liquor. They throw a bottle in the air and they shoot it, and then they get drunk for the night. Now it's nighttime. Jeff and TR are still shooting balls in the air. I don't know how you can shoot balls in the air. They have a campfire at night, and now we have left Phil, Ed, Mitch, Bonnie, and Barry and Ira Shalowitz. They're hiding under a tent. They're like, we knew we shouldn't have trusted those guys because those guys are all drunk now. TR and Jeff, they always get real mean when they're drunk. And they decide to put a gun. They get the calf Norman, Mitch's calf, the baby calf. They put a gun in his mouth. And they're like, "Mere Mitchy, Mitchy, Mitchy." They want to call out Mitch. And Mitch is going to go help Norman. But Ed stops him for a while. He goes, "You're not going to lose your life over a cow." And Mitch doesn't care. He goes over there. He starts with a funny talk. Mitch goes to talk with Jeff and TR. He starts with a funny talk. And of course, like last time, they're not buying it. Um they end up punching. Jeff ends up punching Mitch, I believe, and then Ed and Phil run to help Mitch out. They're all struggling. So there's a big struggle between Jeff, TR, Mitch, Phil, and Ed, and they're fighting over the gun. And at the end, Phil ends up getting the gun. He gets the gun, points it at Jeff. TR goes for his gun, and since Phil has a gun pointed at Jeff, he tells TR, "Put the gun down, put the gun down." TR does what he says, throws a gun, and then Phil goes on a tirade because of all the stress he has. He says he has a rash, and then he says that he lost his wife and his kids and all that. And he goes, tells them to go sleep it off, their drunkenness. So Jeff and TR take off. Phil goes to the tent. Pit. Can't talk. Phil goes to his tent. Ed and Mitch follow him to his tent, and they could console Phil. And Mitch is like in the tent saying, "Phil, put the gun away." He's like, "No, don't worry. I handle the gun. I have to handle a gun at the grocery store. That's where all the money's at." And but Phil ends up crying anyways, and then Mitch consoles him and tells Ed. Mitch hugs him, says everything's gonna be alright. Everything's alright. He consoles Phil and says, "Life is a doer. You could just start all over. Forget all your problems." That's what he means. Um. So actually, that night, I think it's Barry Shalowitz, one of the Barry Ira, but I think it's Barry Shalowitz. I don't know, it's either Barry or Ira. They tell Mitch that, hey, Jeff and TR, they took off. I think it was Ira. Well, anyways, they tell him, the point is, they tell Mitch, Jeff and TR took off, now we're on our own. They start discussing what are they going to do now, the group, the rest of them. Bera and Ira say they're leaving. Then Bonnie says she's leaving. They're saying it's not worth risking their lives for the cattle drive. They don't have their trail boss has died. They're low on food. They're not exactly don't know how to get to Colorado. And the two cowboys that could have helped them with a cattle drive to get to Colorado, they've taken off. Their lives not worth risking their lives out in the middle of nowhere. Excuse me. So it ends up that Bonnie, Ira, and um, and Barry Shalowitz, um, say their last names, Bonnie Rayburn, Barry and Ira Shalowitz. They're gonna take off in the morning. Mitch says he's gonna take off, but Mitch has a fight with Ed and says, "I'm not doing what you want to do," and then it's saying, "I'm not," because Ed and Phil said they're deciding they're gonna stay, and Ed says, "I'm not asking you to do it," and then Mitch keeps saying, "I'm not gonna do it," and then I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna try to take that do the cattle drive to Colorado. And then Ed says, "Yeah, I'm not asking you to do it," because Mitch is bringing up the fact that because Ed and Phil say they're gonna continue with the cattle drive to do it on their own, that Mitch thinks that Ed is trying to do it because he's trying to be better than his father, because his father was mean to him, so he has something to prove. So Mitch is gonna join Bonnie and Barry and Ira Shalowitz. That they're just gonna try to get to that they have a better chance going to Colorado Ranch on their own. So in the morning they all take off, and then so we're gonna have Ed and Phil that are still committed. I guess I don't know. Phil has nothing to lose, but Ed, he still has his girlfriend Kim. But I think he has this thing that he wants to beat his father because his father was mean to him. He wants to prove he's better than his father some way somehow. That's the theory behind it. So anyway, so now, yeah, it's Phil and Ed. It's the morning, and now they're gonna take the cattle drive on their own. They're gonna try to do it by themselves, which is almost impossible, especially that they're not experienced cowboys. So Ed and Phil try to take the cow drive on their own, and they're struggling. They're struggling with trying to control the herd, just themselves being inexperienced cowboys, and they're arguing with each other. They're like, "You do it your way, I do it my way." They're arguing. They're not working as a team. There's some strays that take off cows. That's not good. And then you see Phil saying, "Oh, the hell with you!" Then he tells the cows, "Go ahead and leave." But those cows come back, and why they come back? Because Mitch has made a heroic comeback. He's came back to help his buddies. He did not he abandoned them, but now he did, but now he didn't abandon them because now he's back. The strays come back, and Mitch is like, he's there. He's gonna help them. So it's all three of them. Now they have all three of them to try to get the cattle drive to the ranch in Colorado. Um, so now they have the extra help. They have Mitch, and they have their friendship to try to get the cattle drive over there. But there's another problem. Now it's bad weather. There's thunder and lightning. Now it's heavy rain. Um, and another problem too is that there's a river. They know they have to get the herd across that river. They're like, isn't there another way? Isn't there another way around this? Whatever. They're like, no, it could be another 100 miles. Um, so there's like a steep slope too. That's not gonna help it. It's muddy. One of them tries to go down the slope with their horse. Then they're like, okay, it's doable. They bring the cattle to that slope, and they start to get the cattle to go across the river. All the cattle make it across the river, like, yeah, and Mitch is the last behind. But we see also that Norman, the calf, is stuck in the water and he's drowning. Mitch goes after Norman. He gets a lasso, puts a lasso around, and he gets it. He throws a lasso and it lands around uh, Norman's neck, the calf, and but Mitch is pulled in to with a current with Norman, and now they're going down river. Phil and Ed have to leave the herd. They got the herd to cross, but now they got to get Mitch and Norman. So Phil and Ed go down the riverbank. There's and there you got Mitch and Norman still going down the river. Phil gets to some logs on the riverbank and he tries to extend his hand out to Mitch. He gets there before Mitch, and Mitch extends his hand, and Phil gets Mitch's hand, and Mitch is still attached with Norman. And then Ed comes to help, and they're making like a human chain. And Ed pulls Phil, which is bringing Mitch and Norman. They all make it to the bank, make it safely. They're all having their moment, and Ed is real cute. Ed is holding Mitch, and he gives Ed is holding Mitch, and he gives him a kiss on the forehead, and they have their moment. And they're all okay. Mitch, Ed, and Phil, and the calf are okay. Next morning, you have Phil, Ed, and Mitch. They're riding on their horses. They made it to the cattle ranch in Colorado. Somebody sees it from outside, and everybody's there. You got Barry and Ira. You got Bonnie. You got the dentist. You got Barry and Ira Shalowitz. You got Bonnie Rayburn. You got the dentist, Steve, and Ben Jessup. You got Cookie. Cookie's there in his cast in his wheelchair or whatever. And you got Millie, and you got the owner, Clay Stone. And they're outside, and they're all like cheering and stuff. And Mitch, Ed, and Phil have brought in the herd to the cattle ranch. And they welcomed them. And Claystone's like, good job. And then they're all there together. And Claystone says, I'm giving y'all a refund. Y'all can have your money back. And then you see Millie like looking at Claystone like, are you crazy? She don't want to give away the money. Claystone's willing to. And then Steve Jessup, the son Dennis to Ben, says, instead of getting a refund, can we take the cattle drive back to New Mexico? And Claystone says, normally I would, but no, we're gonna sell the cattle to the meat company. And then everybody gets all sad. And Claystone's trying to cheer people up. And he goes, well, I can't pass it up. I'm selling the cattle for top dollar. They don't have much of a lives anyways. Where do you think all that hamburger meat comes from at the grocery when you buy meat at the grocery store? They're all sad, but Claystone says, no, don't worry, boys. He's talking to Mitch, Phil, and Ed. Y'all did a good job. Then later on, we have Mitch and Ed and Phil. They're talking at the ranch. Mitch has a moment with a cow. Norman. He's like petting Norman. Later on, they're talking at the ranch. Ed, Phil, and Mitch, and they're. Phil says that life is a do over when he gets back to New York. He's gonna do his life over again. Ed says he's gonna get his new wife, get him pregnant, and Curly had told Mitch about that one thing that I forgot to tell you earlier. Curly had told Mitch that y'all city folk around your age come up with all these problems. That now you just think about one thing, and nothing else means crap. And Mitch had asked him, Curly, what is that one thing? And Curly's like, that's what you have to find out for yourself. And then Mitch spreads that philosophy to Ed and Phil. And now they're already in New York. And they're waiting for their rides. But they're not home yet. They're waiting for their rides. Like they arrive from the airport or something. Kim picks up Ed. They take off in his Jeep. He's probably going to want to get her pregnant when they get home. Phil, Mitch asks Phil, hey, do you need a ride? Because Mitch is of course, gonna get a ride from his family. He's going home with them. But Phil's like, I got a cab. And then Bonnie goes on the cab, and you can tell they're gonna start the romantic courtship. So they take off. Mitch's family gets there, and Mitch's daughter Holly and his son Danny, they go give him a big hug. And then Barbara comes along, and she looks at Mitch, and Mitch says, he smiles, and here it is. He says smiles in Colorado, and then Barbara starts kissing him. And then some man comes that works there at the airport, whatever. He brings a cage, and it has Norman in it, and Mitch introduces Norman to the rest of the family, and Barbara keeps giving him ugly looks, and Mitch, and there's no way Mitch is gonna let go of that calf with the experience he had, the love he has for this cow, the adventure he had with this cow. Mitch puts the calf in the van, and Barbara and the kids get in the van. They all take off, and it's real cute because it shows in New York that long bridge. It has calf Norman the calf out the window, looks really cute, and that's the end. I like to say that there's a nice family film. I think it's PG-13 or something. I know it's PG for sure. Uh, it's a really good movie. I've seen it a lot of times, especially when I was young. I lost the movie, and then I started seeing it again. It's very good. It's a very good family film, except for the exception when Ben Jessup, the father dentist, he says that Curly slit with a knife someone from somewhere to somewhere. That's the only inappropriate thing I'd see for the kids not to see, but it's only one part. I mean, the rest of the movie is pretty PG and pretty good. I am sorry I forgot the main point I like to this to this film. The one thing This is where Curly and Mitch are hanging out. They're they're horseback riding from picking up the stray cattle. That's where Curly tells them about the one thing that all city slickers come here. He's like, "What's your age?" Like 39. All you guys come around the same age with all your problems from all the city. But Curly says, if you stick to one thing only, nothing else means crap. So I recommend to people that don't believe in God or Buddha or anything like that. Maybe the atheist. That'd be a good. I'm not trying to put anybody down, but that'd be good advice. That one thing for people that don't believe in God or have a religion, anything like. You just concentrate on that one thing and don't just focus on that one thing and you'll be successful. I think that'd be the best for that. It's very good advice. I apply that to. Sometimes I forget about that, and I should never forget about that. That one thing is to help you focus on that one thing you want, and I think it's very good for if you have a lot of anxiety in your life or worrying. That one thing's gonna help a bunch, and help you focus, be successful in life. Again, this is a good family film. I recommend it to anybody to see this. It's very heartwarming kind of movie. It's a pick me up kind of movie. It's a movie that can pick you up anytime. And you're feeling depressed or down, worried. This movie is that, yeah, it can pick you up. And this is the end of my review for the 1991 film City Slickers. Um, I'll leave you with my philosophy. I always want to leave you with this philosophy that the world will never be a perfect place, but we can all make it better. This is Alberto signing off, and I'll see you guys later next time. Bye.